The hum of the airplane engines drowned out any lingering small talk as Connor settled into his seat, eager for the panoramic views awaiting him in Hawaii. The anticipation was palpable in the air, but little did he know that the journey would take an unexpected twist. As he leaped through the in-flight magazine, his eyes widened with surprise when he caught sight of a familiar face in the adjacent seat. Holly, his ex-girlfriend from middle school, sat there with an air of nonchalance, her eyes hidden behind oversized sunglasses. Connor swallowed hard, the memories of their past rushing back. "Holly," he stammered, attempting a casual greeting. "Him? Oh, Connor," Holly drawled, finally acknowledging his presence. What a coincidence, right? A strained smile played on Connor's lips as he muttered, "Yeah, a real coincidence." The awkwardness hung in the air like a thick fog. The tension was palpable as they navigated through uneasy pleasantries. "So, what brings you to Hawaii?" Connor asked, trying to fill the silence. Holly leaned back, her tone dripping with nonchalance. "Vacation. My husband decided we needed a break from our busy lives." The mention of her husband cut through the air like a sharp knife. Connor shifted uncomfortably in his seat, regretting the small talk already. "He's a successful businessman, you know," Holly continued, seemingly oblivious to Connor's discomfort. "We live a life you could only dream of." Connor bit his lip, choosing not to engage further. The unexpected reunion had taken an unwelcome turn, and he couldn't help but wonder what other surprises this journey had in store for them. The plane hurtled through the skies, and the awkwardness between Connor and Holly lingered like an unwelcome guest. Holly, seemingly unfazed by the tension, continued to steer the conversation towards uncomfortable territory. "So, Connor," Holly began with a sly smile, "what have you been up to since our middle school days? Still chasing after those childhood dreams of yours?" Connor sighed inwardly, regretting engaging in the conversation. "Yeah, well, I've been working hard, pursuing my interests," he replied cautiously. Holly chuckled condescendingly, adjusting her sunglasses. "Interests? Like playing with toy planes? Some dreams never grow up, I suppose." Connor felt a twinge of irritation, but chose to keep his composure. "It's not just a childhood dream. I'm into aviation, and I've been studying and training to become a pilot." Holly's laughter cut through the air. "A pilot? Seriously? You always did have your head in the clouds, Connor." Their exchange attracted a few curious glances from nearby passengers, but Holly seemed indifferent to the discomfort she was causing. "I heard you settled for some mundane job," Holly continued, her tone dripping with disdain. "Couldn't make your lofty dreams come true, huh?" Connor clenched his jaw, his frustration simmering beneath the surface. "I have my goals, Holly. They're just different from yours." Holly leaned in, her tone conspiratorial. "Different or just lower? You always did aim low." Connor, growing weary of the verbal jabs, attempted to change the subject. "Let's not dwell on the past, Holly. We're on a plane to Hawaii. Can't we just enjoy the journey?" Holly smirked, her eyes glinting behind the sunglasses. "Enjoy the journey? With someone like you next to me? That's a stretch." As the plane continued its journey, the awkward conversation lingered, leaving Connor to wonder how much turbulence lay ahead, both in the skies and in his unexpected reunion with Holly. The plane soared through the azure sky, and tension from the awkward conversation between Connor and Holly still hung in the air. Little did they know, a sudden twist of fate awaited them, transforming their uncomfortable reunion into something much more significant. An urgent announcement crackled over the intercom, interrupting the uneasy atmosphere. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We have encountered an unforeseen issue, and we require the assistance of a qualified pilot. If there is anyone on board with flight experience, please come forward immediately." The gravity of the situation dawned on the passengers, and a hush fell over the cabin. Concerned murmurs rippled through the rows, and anxious glances were exchanged. "Did they just say they need a pilot?" Holly whispered, her eyes widening with a mixture of fear and disbelief. Connor, stirred from his discomfort, felt a surge of adrenaline. This was his moment. He looked at Holly with determination. "I think they did." As the cabin crew began to move frantically, seeking someone to answer the desperate call for help, Holly's panic escalated. "What's happening? Is the plane going to crash?" Connor, seizing the opportunity to prove himself, unbuckled his seatbelt. "I don't know, but I can help. I've always dreamt of flying, and I've studied aviation extensively. Holly clutched the armrests, her fear etched across her face. You? Flying the plane? Are you insane? Ignoring Holly's skepticism, Connor made his way toward the commotion. As he approached the cockpit, a flight attendant intercepted him, recognizing the potential savior. Sir, are you a pilot? Connor nodded. I have training and a deep passion for aviation. I'll do whatever I can to help. The flight attendant, relieved to have found someone, ushered him into the cockpit. Holly watched, torn between anxiety and disbelief. The door closed behind Connor, leaving Holly alone with her apprehensions. As the realization sunk in that the man she had mocked moments ago was now attempting to save the day, she couldn't help but wonder if fate was playing a strange hand in their reunion. The cockpit door closed behind Connor, sealing him in a confined space filled with the hum of instruments and the urgency of the situation. The flight crew exchanged relieved glances as Connor, driven by his lifelong passion for aviation, stepped forward to assess the predicament. I can't believe this is happening, one of the flight attendants murmured to another, their eyes fixed on Connor. In the midst of the controlled chaos, Connor's eyes scanned the instruments, and his hands instinctively moved to familiar controls. The co-pilot briefed him on the situation while the captain, visibly unwell, lay slumped in the seat. I never thought my love for planes would lead me here, Connor muttered to himself, a mix of excitement and nerves coursing through his veins. The co-pilot, grateful for any assistance, explained, We're experiencing engine issues. We need to maintain altitude, but we're losing power. Can you handle this? Connor nodded, his focus unwavering. I'll do my best. As he settled into the pilot's seat, memories flooded back, days spent poring over aircraft manuals, studying flight paths, and imagining himself in the cockpit. Now, with the weight of responsibility on his shoulders, his childhood dream was materializing in the most unexpected way. In the cabin, Holly clung to her seat, her eyes darting between the closed cockpit door and the anxious faces of fellow passengers. A fellow traveler leaned over, whispering to her, Isn't that the guy you were making fun of? The one who's trying to fly the plane now. Holly's eyes widened with disbelief, the gravity of the situation suddenly hitting her. He's really going to fly this thing. Back in the cockpit, Connor communicated with air traffic control, his voice steady despite the turmoil outside. As the plane stabilized, he couldn't help but marvel at the realization of a lifelong aspiration. Ground control, this is Connor. I have control of the aircraft, he announced, a sense of pride lacing his words. In the cabin, murmurs of relief and gratitude began to replace the earlier panic. Holly, however, remained in her seat, watching with a mix of awe and apprehension. As the plane sailed smoothly through the skies under Connor's guidance, the unexpected twist of fate propelled not just the aircraft, but also the narrative of their reunion into uncharted territory. With Connor at the helm, the plane glided through the sky, the hum of engines resonating through the cabin. The initial panic had subsided, replaced by a tentative calm, but the unease between Connor and Holly lingered. As the aircraft encountered a patch of turbulence, jolting the passengers in their seats, Holly's composure wavered. Gripping the armrests, she shot a nervous glance at the cockpit door, wondering if Connor had the expertise to navigate through the rough air. Nearby, a fellow passenger, attempting to lighten the mood, leaned towards Holly. Well, I guess your ex-boyfriend is proving himself, huh? Holly scowled, irritation evident in her voice. This is no time for jokes. I just want to get to Hawaii in one piece. In the cockpit, Connor's hands deftly adjusted the controls, maintaining a steady course despite the turbulence. The co-pilot, appreciating Connor's calm demeanor, remarked, You're doing great, man. I didn't expect a passenger to take control like this. Connor nodded, his eyes focused on the instruments. I just want everyone to get to their destination safely. Back in the cabin, the turbulence intensified and Holly's anxiety heightened. A concerned passenger behind her whispered, Shouldn't we be worried? Do you think he knows what he's doing? Holly, grappling with her own fears, responded with a forced nonchalance, He's just a guy with a childhood dream. What does he know about flying a plane? In the cockpit, the radio crackled with updates from air traffic control. The co-pilot, glancing at Connor, noted, They say the turbulence should ease up soon. You're handling this better than some seasoned pilots I know. Connor acknowledged the compliment with a modest smile, the gravity of the situation not lost on him. As the plane gradually sailed into calmer skies, the tension in the cabin eased. However, the underlying friction between Connor and Holly remained, each turbulent bump serving as a reminder of the complexities that lingered both in the skies and in their past. With the turbulence subsiding, the plane continued its course towards Hawaii under Connor's capable command. In the relative calm, thoughts and memories swirled within him like clouds against a blue sky. Seated in the cockpit, Connor gazed out at the vast expanse before him, the patchwork of clouds below, and the infinite sky above. The co-pilot, sensing the contemplation, broke the silence. "Quite a journey you're having, huh?" Connor nodded, his eyes reflecting a mixture of nostalgia and determination. "I never imagined my love for planes would lead me to this. It's surreal." Back in the cabin, Holly, still uneasy from the recent turbulence, observed the clouds from her window seat. A curious passenger beside her couldn't resist a remark. "Looks like your ex knows his way around more than just turbulence, huh?" Holly's eyes flickered with a hint of irritation. "I don't need anyone making jokes right now. I just want this to be over." As the plane sailed through the sky, Connor's mind drifted back to his childhood, to the days of innocence when the allure of airplanes symbolized freedom. He turned to the co-pilot with a reflective smile. "I used to dream about this, you know. Flying above the clouds, leaving everything behind." The co-pilot chuckled. "Well, dreams do come true, even if it takes a bit of turbulence to get there." In the cabin, whispers of gratitude and relief spread among the passengers. Holly, however, remained lost in her thoughts, contemplating the unexpected turn of events. Another traveler leaned over to her. "Your ex seems to have a lot more depth than you gave him credit for." Holly sighed, her guard momentarily down. "Maybe, but that doesn't change the past." As the plane cruised above the clouds, Connor couldn't escape the sense of accomplishment and the realization that life, like the sky, held endless possibilities. The co-pilot, breaking the thoughtful silence, remarked, "You're handling this like a pro, Connor. You've got the spirit of a true aviator." Connor nodded, a glint of determination in his eyes. Maybe this is just the beginning of a new chapter. The journey to Hawaii continued, both in the skies and in the intertwined narratives of Connor and Holly, each cloud reflecting the complexity of their shared history. During a layover on their way to Hawaii, Connor found himself in an airport lounge, seeking solace from the tense atmosphere left in the wake of the mid-air emergency. As he sipped on a cup of coffee, his eyes were drawn to a distinguished-looking man sitting nearby. The man wore a faded bomber jacket adorned with patches, a subtle but unmistakable nod to his military background. Intrigued, Connor approached him. "Excuse me, sir. I couldn't help but notice your jacket. Are you a veteran?" The man looked up, a warm smile breaking across his weathered face. "Indeed, I am. Served in the Air Force for over 2 decades. Call me Frank." Connor extended a hand. "Connor, it's a pleasure to meet you. I've always had a fascination with aviation. I'm actually studying to become a pilot." Frank's eyes lit up with genuine interest. "Is that right? You've got that look about you, son. The kind of passion I've seen in many young aviators." They settled into a conversation, with Connor sharing his journey from a childhood enamored with airplanes to the unexpected turn of events on the flight to Hawaii. Frank, in turn, regaled him with tales from his own time in the skies. "Let me tell you, there's something magical about being up there, above the clouds," Frank mused, his eyes reflecting a lifetime of experiences. "It changes you, shapes you in ways you never expect." Connor nodded, absorbing the wisdom from a seasoned aviator. "I've always felt that. It's like a calling, you know, a connection to something greater than ourselves." Frank chuckled. "You've got the spirit, Connor. Don't let anything dampen it. Even in the face of adversity, the sky is always there, waiting for you to conquer it." Meanwhile, back in the airport, Holly found herself seated at a nearby gate. A fellow passenger struck up a conversation, having recognized her from the turbulent flight. "That guy who took control of the plane, your ex, right? Quite the hero, isn't he?" Holly rolled her eyes, her demeanor still laced with skepticism. "He's just lucky it worked out. Heroes are a bit much." Back with Connor and Frank, the conversation continued, bridging the generational gap between two individuals connected by their love for the skies. As they parted ways, Frank offered some parting advice. "Remember, Connor, the sky has a way of bringing people together. Embrace the journey and you'll find more than you ever expected." With those words echoing in his mind, Connor boarded the plane once more, his chance encounter with the veteran adding a new layer to his unfolding narrative. The skies held not just challenges, but also unexpected connections, and as the plane taxied towards the runway, Connor couldn't help but feel a renewed sense of purpose. The flight to Hawaii continued, and the atmosphere in the cabin was a mix of relief and lingering tension. As Connor settled back into his seat, he couldn't shake off the unease brought on by the encounter with Holly. Meanwhile, Holly, seated nearby, remained immersed in her own thoughts, her expression a cocktail of skepticism and lingering anxiety. As the plane reached cruising altitude, Holly turned to Connor with a raised eyebrow, unable to resist a jab. "So, Mr. Hero Pilot, how does it feel to save the day?" Connor sighed, hoping to avoid further confrontation. "I just did what I could to help. It wasn't about playing hero." Holly scoffed, her arrogance undeterred. "Well, don't get too comfortable. One lucky move doesn't make you a real pilot. You're still just a guy with a hobby." Connor clenched his jaw, the lingering tension between them resurfacing. Before he could respond, a nearby passenger chimed in, attempting to ease the situation. "Hey, let's all just be grateful we're safe, okay? No need for bickering." Holly shot the passenger a dismissive glance. "Grateful? I wasn't scared. I knew someone would fix it. Probably could have done a better job myself." Connor, struggling to maintain composure, replied, "Well, next time there's an emergency, feel free to take the lead." The tension in the cabin was palpable, and whispers of the mid-air crisis lingered. Despite the attempt to move past the confrontation, the underlying animosity between Connor and Holly simmered beneath the surface. In a nearby row, a passenger leaned over to his companion. "Who does she think she is? He saved us, and she can't even give credit where it's due." His companion shrugged. "Some people just can't admit when they're wrong." Probably used to everything being handed to her. As the plane sailed through the skies, the disparity in attitudes between Holly and the other passengers became increasingly evident. Connor, choosing to focus on the journey ahead, turned his attention to the window, the distant horizon a reminder of the vastness of the skies and the unpredictability of the narratives unfolding within the confined space of the aircraft. The flight continued towards its destination, but the uneasy atmosphere in the cabin persisted. Holly, unable to shake off her disdain, continued to glare at Connor as if blaming him for the ongoing discomfort. As tension simmered beneath the surface, a sense of foreboding loomed in the air. In a moment of calm, a passenger seated across the aisle from Holly struck up a conversation, attempting to bridge the gap. "Quite the adventure, huh? Bet you didn't expect to witness a mid-air crisis on your way to Hawaii." Holly, maintaining her aloof demeanor, responded dismissively, "Adventurous or not, I've been on better flights. This was just a minor inconvenience." The passenger raised an eyebrow, incredulous at Holly's lack of gratitude. "Minor inconvenience? We could have crashed. That guy," he gestured towards Connor, "saved us all." Holly rolled her eyes, a scoff escaping her lips. "Saved us? Please, it was probably just a stunt to boost his ego." Meanwhile, in the cockpit, Connor focused on the controls, doing his best to block out the lingering tension from the cabin. The co-pilot, sensing Connor's unease, offered a few words of encouragement. "You did what needed to be done back there. Don't let one person's arrogance ruin it for you." Back in the cabin, a flight attendant approached Holly, attempting to defuse the situation. "Ma'am, I understand the flight has been eventful. If there's anything we can do to make you more comfortable." Holly cut her off with a dismissive wave. "I don't need anything. Just make sure we get to Hawaii in one piece." As the journey continued, the downward spiral of Holly's attitude became more apparent. Passengers exchanged concerned glances, their attempts to rationalize the situation proving futile in the face of Holly's stubborn arrogance. A nearby couple shared a whispered conversation about the unfolding drama. "Can you believe her? She's acting like none of this matters," the woman remarked. Her partner shook his head. "Some people can't see past their own pride. She's probably used to having everything handed to her." As the plane sailed through the skies, the once promising trip to Hawaii became overshadowed by the cloud of discontent that hung over the cabin. Connor, focused on the responsibility at hand, couldn't help but wonder if this unexpected reunion had taken a toll not only on the flight, but also on the relationships within the confined space of the aircraft. As the plane approached its final descent into Hawaii, the tension within the cabin reached its peak. The atmosphere, once filled with gratitude for a safe outcome, had given way to an air of discomfort and resentment. Holly's arrogance seemed unyielding, casting a shadow over what should have been a celebratory moment. Seated in her chair, Holly shot Connor a final disdainful glance. "I hope you enjoyed your little stint as a pilot. I'm sure it won't happen again." Connor, weary from the confrontation, replied with a measured tone, "I didn't do it for enjoyment. I did it to help, to ensure everyone's safety." A passenger in the row behind them couldn't help but interject, "You should be grateful, lady. He saved us." Holly scoffed, dismissing the comment. "I don't need saving, especially not by someone like him." The murmurs among passengers intensified, a collective disbelief at Holly's inability to acknowledge the reality of the situation. As the plane descended, the tension mirrored the descent into an island paradise that now felt anything but welcoming. In the cockpit, Connor prepared for the final moments of the flight. The co-pilot, sensing the strain, spoke words of encouragement. "You did a great job up there. Don't let one person's attitude diminish that." As the plane touched down in Hawaii, the passengers began to gather their belongings, eager to disembark. Holly, however, remained seated, her expression a mix of frustration and discontent. A fellow passenger, sympathetic to Connor's plight, leaned over and whispered, "Don't let her get to you. Some people can't see beyond their own pride." Connor, acknowledging the sentiment with a nod, made his way off the plane, hoping to leave the negativity behind. However, as the passengers filed out, the confrontation between him and Holly reached its peak. Holly, unable to contain her disdain, muttered loud enough for Connor to hear, "This was the worst flight of my life, all thanks to you." Connor, now standing face to face with Holly, couldn't hold back his frustration. "I did my best to help, and all you've done is criticize. Maybe it's time to reflect on your own attitude." The airport terminal awaited them, a symbol of both escape and confrontation. As the passengers dispersed, the echoes of an unraveling reunion lingered in the air. For Connor, the journey had been a test of character and resilience. But for Holly, the descent into discontent marked the unraveling of not just a flight, but also the intricate threads of relationships woven within the confines of an aircraft.